Old Hollywood wasn't just about elegance and red carpets. It was an era shaped by women whose presence lit up the screen and quietly redefined beauty, confidence, and power. These weren't just stars, they were icons who carried both admiration and pressure in equal measure. In this video, we're taking a closer look at 12 unforgettable actresses whose charm, talent, and undeniable screen presence left a lasting mark on cinema history. Their stories go beyond the spotlight, revealing strength, complexity, and influence that still echoes today. So settle in, because this journey into classic Hollywood is just getting started. Actor number 1: Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn Monroe wasn't just a star, she was a phenomenon that defined an entire era of Hollywood. With her soft voice, radiant smile, and unmistakable screen presence, she became the face of 1950s glamour. But what truly set Marilyn apart wasn't just her beauty, it was the way she carried it. There was a natural warmth in her performances, a blend of charm and vulnerability that made audiences feel connected to her in a way few stars ever achieved. Studios often highlighted her image, placing her in roles that leaned into her appeal, but Marilyn brought something deeper every time she stepped in front of the camera. Whether it was her comedic timing in Some Like It Hot or her magnetic presence in Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, she had a rare ability to balance playfulness with emotional depth. She wasn't just performing, she was creating moments that stayed with people long after the film ended. Behind the fame, however, was a woman navigating the pressures of being constantly in the spotlight. Marilyn worked hard to be taken seriously as an actress, studying her craft and pushing against the limits placed on her. That determination added another layer to her legacy, one that goes far beyond her image. Even today, Marilyn Monroe remains one of the most recognizable and discussed figures in entertainment history. Her influence on film, fashion, and popular culture is undeniable. She didn't just fit into Hollywood, she reshaped it, leaving behind a legacy that continues to inspire generations. Number 2: Sophia Loren. Sophia Loren wasn't just a star, she was the embodiment of elegance, confidence, and timeless screen presence. Rising from post-war Italy to international fame, she brought something refreshingly authentic to Hollywood. Her beauty was undeniable, but it was her natural charisma and commanding presence that truly set her apart. She didn't try to fit into Hollywood's mold, she redefined it on her own terms. On screen, Sophia had a rare ability to balance strength and softness. Whether in romantic roles or powerful dramas, she carried herself with a quiet confidence that drew audiences in. Her performances weren't just visually captivating, they had emotional weight, depth, and honesty. Films like Two Women showcased her extraordinary talent, earning her critical acclaim and proving she was far more than just a glamorous figure. What made Sophia Loren stand out even more was how effortlessly she embraced who she was. She once famously credited her figure to her love of Italian food, a remark that reflected her grounded personality and refusal to conform to unrealistic expectations. That authenticity resonated with audiences around the world. Beyond the spotlight, Sophia remained a symbol of dignity and resilience. She navigated fame with grace, building a legacy that combined beauty, intelligence, and undeniable talent. Even today, she stands as one of the most respected and admired figures in cinematic history, an icon who proved that true allure comes from confidence and self-assurance. Number 3: Jayne Mansfield. Jayne Mansfield wasn't just a Hollywood star, she was a master of attention in an era built on image and spectacle. With her striking blonde look, bold fashion choices, and larger-than-life personality, she quickly became one of the most talked-about figures of the 1950s. Studios often positioned her as a rival to Marilyn Monroe, but Jayne carved out her own identity by leaning fully into her playful, headline-grabbing persona. On screen, she brought a unique mix of comedy and confidence. Films like The Girl Can't Help It showcased not only her visual appeal but also her sharp timing and ability to entertain. She understood exactly how Hollywood worked, and more importantly, how to work it to her advantage. Every appearance, every outfit, every public moment felt carefully crafted to keep her in the spotlight, but there was more to Jayne than the image she projected. She was known to be highly intelligent, fluent in multiple languages, and deeply aware of the industry around her. That contrast between public persona and private capability made her story even more compelling. Despite the pressures and expectations placed on her, Jayne Mansfield remained unapologetically herself. She embraced the spotlight on her own terms, turning fame into a tool rather than a limitation. Though her life was cut tragically short, her impact on Hollywood's idea of stardom, and the power of self-presentation, continues to be remembered. Number 4. Raquel Welch. Raquel Welch wasn't just introduced to Hollywood, she arrived with an image that instantly captured global attention. Her breakout moment didn't rely on long dialogue or complex scenes. Instead, it was a single, unforgettable visual that turned her into a cultural phenomenon almost overnight. But what followed proved she was far more than just a striking first impression. There was a confidence in the way Raquel carried herself on screen. She brought strength, intensity, and a quiet determination to her roles, refusing to be limited by expectations. While the industry often focused on her appearance, Raquel pushed back by choosing projects that allowed her to show range and depth. She understood the narrative being built around her, and made sure she had a voice in shaping it. Off-screen, she was known for her discipline and strong sense of self. She didn't conform easily, and that independence set her apart in an industry that often tried to define its stars. Raquel spoke openly about the pressures of being labeled, revealing a more human side behind the image the world saw. What makes her legacy stand out is that she never allowed one moment to define her entire career. She evolved, adapted, and remained relevant across decades. Raquel Welch wasn't just remembered for how she looked, she was remembered for how she carried her presence, with strength, control, and undeniable impact. Number 5. Elizabeth Taylor. Elizabeth Taylor wasn't just a Hollywood star, she was a presence that commanded attention from the very beginning. With her striking features and unmistakable screen charisma, she transitioned from a child actress into one of the most powerful and respected figures in cinema. But what truly defined Elizabeth wasn't just how she looked, it was the intensity she brought to every role. On screen, she had a way of drawing audiences in with emotional depth and authenticity. Whether portraying complex relationships or strong-willed characters, Elizabeth delivered performances that felt real and layered. Films like Cat on a Hot Tin Roof and Cleopatra showcased her ability to balance vulnerability with strength. Proving she was far more than just a glamorous face. Off-screen, her life was just as captivating. Her relationships, personal struggles, and bold personality often made headlines, but through it all, she remained unapologetically herself. Elizabeth didn't shy away from attention, she owned it, navigating fame with a level of confidence that set her apart from many of her contemporaries. Beyond the spotlight, she also became known for her resilience and later humanitarian work, adding even more depth to her legacy. Elizabeth Taylor wasn't simply remembered for her beauty, she was remembered for her power, her passion, and her ability to leave a lasting impression both on and off the screen. Number 6. Anita Ekberg. Anita Ekberg wasn't just another name in Hollywood, she was a moment that cinema could never quite recreate. Born in Sweden and rising to international fame, she carried a striking presence that immediately set her apart. There was something bold and almost mythical about the way she appeared on screen, as if she belonged to a different world entirely. Her most iconic performance came in La Dolce Vita, where a single scene transformed her into a lasting symbol of cinematic allure. It wasn't just the visuals, it was the confidence, the ease, and the sense of mystery she brought to that moment. Anita had a way of owning the frame without saying much at all. Proving that presence alone could tell a powerful story. Despite often being cast for her appearance, she brought a quiet strength to her roles. There was an independence in her persona, a feeling that she was never fully defined by the expectations placed on her. She didn't chase attention, it seemed to follow her naturally. Off-screen, Anita remained somewhat elusive, adding to the intrigue that surrounded her. She wasn't constantly in the headlines, yet her impact never faded. Anita Ekberg became more than just an actress, she became an image, a feeling, and a timeless reminder of how powerful simplicity and confidence can be on screen. Number 7. Jane Russell. Jane Russell wasn't just a Hollywood actress, she was a statement of confidence in an era where image often spoke louder than talent. From her very first appearance on screen, she carried a bold presence that made it impossible to ignore her. There was strength in her posture, confidence in her expression, and a natural charisma that set her apart from many of her contemporaries. She first rose to fame with The Outlaw, a film that brought her instant attention and turned her into one of Hollywood's most talked-about figures. But what made Jane stand out wasn't just the publicity, it was her ability to balance that attention with intelligence and sharp personality. She knew how she was being perceived, and instead of resisting it, she controlled it in her own way. On screen, Jane often brought a mix of humor, attitude, and charm that made her performances memorable. In films like Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, she proved she could stand alongside major stars and still leave a lasting impression of her own. She wasn't overshadowed, she held her ground. Off-screen, she was known for being outspoken and self-aware, never afraid to express her opinions or challenge how the industry viewed her. That independence became a core part of her identity, making her more than just a Hollywood figure. It made her a woman in control of her own image. Jane Russell's legacy isn't just about how she was seen, but how she chose to be seen, with confidence, intelligence, and complete ownership of her presence. Number 8. Gina Lollobrigida. Gina Lollobrigida wasn't just a film star, she was the definition of European glamour entering Hollywood at full force. Born in Italy, she rose from beauty pageants to international cinema, bringing with her a natural elegance that felt both effortless and powerful. There was a magnetic quality in her presence that made audiences notice her instantly, even before she spoke a word. Her rise to fame wasn't just about appearance, it was about versatility. Gina proved early on that she had real acting ability, starring in films that allowed her to show emotion, depth, and strong character work. She worked alongside major Hollywood names and still managed to leave her own signature on every role she played. What made Gina especially compelling was her independence. She never limited herself to acting alone, she explored photography and sculpture, showing a creative mind that extended far beyond the screen. That artistic curiosity gave her image even more depth, separating her from the typical star system of her time. On screen, she embodied confidence and natural charm. Off-screen, she carried herself with intelligence and self-assurance, never relying on fame alone to define her identity. Gina Lollobrigida became more than a beauty icon, she became a symbol of creativity, strength, and self-made success in a world that often tried to simplify its stars.